What's up, LEGO builders? Of all the alien and human factions I've introduced into my custom world of Kofera, one remains painfully devoid of mechs, the HADF. They have repurposed a stolen mech design and have some effective power suits, but lack a true mech of their own. However, that changes today because I'm going to create one of the biggest, baddest mech hunting war machines I've ever built, and if you're ready to see what that looks like, don't forget to open fire on that like button, and let's get building. I want this build to be distinct from the designs of other factions' mechs, so I'm giving it a more standard humanoid design, but bulkier than the other humanoid mechs I've built thus far. The HADF are just now breaking into this type of vehicle, and so I don't want their mechs to look as sleek or advanced as the other factions. Plus, the HADF are employing a different kind of military doctrine for their mechs. Of course, I'm kicking things off by building the feet. This is the best place for me to start because the feet help set the tone for the rest of the build. If you have good solid feet, your mechs are less likely to wobble or tip, and you can begin to establish an aesthetic with them. Want something lean and reptilian? Add claws and cheese slopes. Or if you want a hulking dumpster of a mech, use lots of big slopes to get a large blunt footprint. I know I'm getting weirdly specific about feet, but they're just so crucial for a solid mech design. Most of the two-legged mechs I've built thus far have had digigrade style legs, meaning there's an extra joint at the ankle area. This makes it look like the mech is in somewhat of a crouching position and gives it a futuristic sci-fi feel. And in my opinion, it's much easier to build a mech with digigrade legs than plantigrade legs, which is what us humans have. The reason being is our legs are typically straight while standing, whereas digigrade legs are always in that crouched look, providing more stability to the body and just looking way cooler. But I want to challenge myself and try building more plantigrade style mechs, which is what the humans of the HADF faction have built thus far. They're just now breaking into the mech world, so theirs aren't going to be quite as advanced as other factions just yet. Plus, this will also help solidify a new design philosophy and differentiate HADF mechs from other factions, which is something I like to do, though Project Stormwall is making use of the digigrade leg design, but that's a whole different category of vehicle. Right away, you can see these legs are different from anything else I've built before, but they still look great and are very sturdy. Plus, I added some pistons behind the upper legs to provide more stability and load bearing while in a crouched position like this. The hips are such a vital yet challenging section for me to build. Both the body and the legs connect here, and you need to contain all those joints in a small space, or else your mech will be all hips like this guy. But I'm pretty excited about this new hip design I cooked up. I stuck a couple sockets in an inverted slope base and built around those with plate and slope. I'm also trying to incorporate more mechanical elements into my mocks, so I threw in some droid arms, clips, and a handlebar. I used to really struggle adding moving or mechanical looking things to builds because I had to know the function or purpose behind everything I was adding. But I've come to learn these details don't need to serve any practical function. As long as they're cool and look like they could be doing something, that's all you really need. We've arrived at my Achilles heel for mech building. I can do legs, arms, weapons, but man, I struggle with the body. Which is unfortunate because it's the biggest and arguably the most attention-grabbing part of the mech. You can nail the other areas I mentioned, but if the body's bad, that's all people are gonna notice. I think my struggle is knowing what kinds of parts to use. I'm a brick and slope kind of guy. Years of building mountains, cities, and other outdoor landscapes has given me a large collection and much experience with those kinds of pieces. But they quickly become too big and cumbersome when it comes to building a mech body. Using smaller, non-traditional pieces will provide a more dynamic and detailed build. So I'm trying to incorporate new pieces here and use more hinges and ball joints to capture angles and shapes not possible by simply stacking slope and brick. That being said, you're still seeing a lot of brick and slope being used here. I'm still working through this whole new building approach, but making sure to cover up a lot of the awkward portions with panels and vents. I realized building a good looking mech is kind of like making a suit of armor. You have the person or frame on the inside, and then you cover it up with a series of armored plates and panels to get that finished look. This is probably pretty obvious to a lot of you, but I'm only 1 year into mech building, so I'm still learning the ropes. This particular panel acts as the head, and I found a very unique piece to represent the face. From the day I found it on Bricklink, I knew this stickered shield would make such a cool looking face for a mech. It bears a striking resemblance to the helmet of a medieval knight. My vision behind this mech was for it to be big and beefy, like the Hulkbuster suit or an armored knight. These triple curve 4x6 roof pieces are the MVP of today's build. They cover up huge sections of the body and help shape it into the correct design I'm looking for. I wanted to include some sneaky weapons to help give this mech the edge over its enemies, so I used 2 Lego ropes to create electrically charged bolas. Those attach to rails on the chest plates which connect to the body via mixel joints. Using those panels to cover up the body really took the pressure off needing to create the perfect looking design, and as a result I was able to build much more freely and try out new techniques. The back isn't going to see as much action, but I still want it to look good, so I'm making good use of smaller curved slope and tile with some 1x1 clips to give it the broad, strong back of a bodybuilder with a little detail. I was trying to figure out what to do about the roof when I decided I've been using these big panels so much already, why not try one more? Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. And with that, the mech torso is finally done. Job's not finished though. I need some arms. Arms that look like all the leg days turned into arm days at the gym. Bruh. Actually, maybe not that intense, but I do need the shoulders in particular to match the girth and size of the torso. And the easiest way to do that is with slopes. And lucky for me, one of the slopes used is already scratched up, providing some nice battle damage. One of my YouTube members, Stormtrooper Creations, suggested using a black whip as a tube, which I found a great spot for just above the elbow. I tend to keep the forearms pretty simple to make room for hand or wrist held weapons, so I just added a slope, robot hands, and wedge plate for a little texture. I designed a couple of different hands, trying to find one that can hold a gun properly, and turns out slightly smaller fingers were needed for this one, but I want to make the other hand bigger for punching. I love this elbow joint. It provides just as many posing options as a ball joint does, and those have been really pissing me off lately. That completes the mech, but it still needs weapons, and I have just the gun in mind for a mech of this caliber. I've seen a lot of people building really cool oversized assault rifles for their mechs recently, and I even made one for my Minotaur mech. So I want to go that route today instead of another generic belt-fed minigun. I've always thought the G36 assault rifle looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, so I'm modeling this after that. One fun challenge was how to capture the curved shape of the magazine. Other builders have been partially connecting 1x1 or 1x2 plates on one end, creating a curved stack of plate. This makes a sweet magazine that attaches to the gun right in front of the trigger area. The other one is going to be all about delivering knuckle sandwiches. I connected 2 metallic silver claws to a slope piece and added a couple of droid arms on the back. Those will have the appearance of connecting to the forearm to provide a brace of support for the wrist and hand when punching. Last but not least, we gotta add some flair. I love the idea of adding flags and emblems to mechs. It's very inspiring and makes the mech feel like a prized and revered possession, not just another military vehicle. So I'm adding the HADF's colors proudly atop this bad boy. I know. Now you're thinking, what is this, more building? The mech's done, let's just see it. A mech of this size and weight needs more than just your typical ground crew to get it repaired and ready for missions. So I'm gonna build some exoskeleton equipped minifigs thanks to the genius of ZZ Bricks, Ronin Bricks, and Bam Bricks Customs on Instagram. They created some awesome techniques for building minifigs in ways you've never seen before. I'm talking curved bar elements and armholes and minifig hands connecting legs to the torso. If you want to use these techniques yourself, I have the Instagram pages linked in the description. I've already come up with multiple minifig designs inspired by these cool techniques and have some pretty crazy looking alien races waiting to be introduced to the beings of Kokundra. It's been months since the Protectorate War has ended, and the technology captured from that final battle has propelled humanity into a new age of advancement. Recovered mech remains were shipped off to both civilian and military development programs with the goal of creating new fleets of mechs to defend humanity and help rebuild the ruined megacity of Moenia Prime. The company Behemoth led the charge in the industrial sector, while the HADF focused on military mechs, the flagship model being this, the CS-1 Centurion. While they may be the last faction to get mech suits, this is by no means a primitive war machine. The HADF gained a lot of knowledge fighting the Protectorate mechs, learning their weaknesses and strengths, using that to create the ultimate mech hunting machine. Its powerful Comultium-fueled engine provides shocking levels of strength and speed. While not as fast or as agile as the FPSC Minotaur due to its bulk, it's more heavily armored and can take a beating on the battlefield, wielding a massive assault rifle that fires mini rocket-propelled grenades, plus tungsten steel claws on the other hand, perfect for shredding enemies during melee combat. As if that wasn't enough, electrically charged bolas can be launched from the chest plates, tangling up and overloading the systems of mech limbs, disabling them. This war machine has become the symbol of HADF might, and the first batch of Centurions have been paraded through the city of Moenia Prime, flying the colors of the HADF to bolster the spirits of the civilians and remind them of humanity's resilience and victory here. This mech might be the coolest vehicle I've ever built. The Centurion towers over pretty much every other mech seen up to this point and is so well proportioned from top to bottom. I was worried the torso and head wouldn't turn out right since the head is technically in the torso, but man, it looks so cool. Just like the mighty Dreadnought. I've learned some important things about mech building in this video and developed some techniques that'll really change how I build moving forward. Now it's high time the HADF and HAEF got more battle mechs of their own. That's a wrap for this one. I'll catch you all next time, but until then, happy building.